think we're good to go. We're good to go, Exley, my boy. How you doing, Exley, brother?
Fine. I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing.
Who does know?
This is a good point, actually. I don't know.
Does no one know? Is it nebulous?
This is actually a good question. Does anyone really know how they're doing? There have to be some people who know how they're doing.
Do they have to be spiritually inclined to know?
No.
They just have to have a sense of
They just have to
themselves?
have a sense of themselves, yeah.
How do you achieve that?
Fuck me if I know. I don't know. Meditate at least once a day and like smoke a blunt every now and again. I don't know.
Do you partake in the meditation in the grass?
The meditation not as often as I should be. I used to be good about doing it. Since I was like 14, I've done I did meditation and yoga fairly regularly.
Yoga?
Yeah.
So the whole the positioning and everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't advanced or anything. But I'm not I'm not super flexible. Obviously maintaining mobility is important, so I would do that. I would do yoga to help with that, and then I would do you'd have meditation as part of that, and I would do dedicated meditation classes as well. And I used to be good up until 2 years ago. I used to be pretty good at maintaining a decent meditation schedule where I would do it at least twice a day. But yeah, not in a while.
I used to practice yoga.
Yeah.
But every time I would stretch my arms or my calves or whatever, the muscles would speak to me. They would curse at me.
Oh yeah, of course.
But not like the cursing you're imagining. They would verbally curse at me, saying, "Yeah, you really like that stretching, don't you? Sexy
do it in
boy."
Miles' voice. You have to do it in Miles' voice.
Yeah, you like my muscles? you like this ass?
Yes, you like those muscles. You like those muscles.
So you hear Sebastian when you do
yoga?
yoga?
I'm complimenting it now. Because those were the two voices that they could have been done in.
Yes.
Either that or Brian's creepy voice.
Oh yeah, it used to be Brian for a while when I would stretch, especially my pelvic area. I would just bend or do a squat, and I just hear, yes. I'm like, oh no, stay away from me. God. What's happening, everybody? My name is Julius, and I'm here with another podcast of the Bumbling Cinema Nature.
Yes.
And I'm here with Mr. Exley. Mr. X.
Bumbling blockhead.
How are you, my friend?
Good.
You're chilling?
Yes.
Big chillin'?
Yes.
Yeah,
Big chill. That's a Ben 10 alien.
That's right. Now that's a classic, Ben 10.
That was a deep cut. I have not thought about Ben 10 in I don't know how many years.
I haven't thought about Big Chill in even longer than that. Yeah. Because when I think of Ben 10, I think mainly of the forearm.
I would say the forearm.
The hot guy.
Yeah.
The fast one.
Yeah. There's a purple dude that shoots crystals, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Or is it a diamond
crystals?
Diamondback? Is that his name?
Yeah, Diamondback, yeah. I think. Yeah.
He makes diamonds.
Yeah, well, no, I was going to say, because specifically, yeah, I think it is Diamondback, and I remember he has, the guns that the Covenant use in Halo. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I've never... Well, that's not true. I have played Halo. I've played Reach.
I've never played once. Halo aside from multiplayer co-op.
Yeah, same basically.
I've never been into the whole lore of Halo, to be honest.
Yeah, neither have I. It's not my. But I've come to, mostly as a result of reading Heinlein, I've come to like military science fiction a little bit more, but it's definitely not my. As far as sci-fi subgenres, it's not my thing.
It's not the go-to.
No.
Unless it's Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I mean in Starship Troopers it's not it's obviously military sci-fi, and it's one of the first hard science fiction novels, but it's definitely, it has stuff in it that I like where it's more it is very philosophical.
Yeah.
It's people joke that it's basically Heinlein's it's his version of Atlas Shrugged, where there are multiple sections where like characters will go on like very long-winded monologues, and it's like this is very clearly just like Heinlein speaking through this character, and they're fun. They're actually well written. They're better written than Ayn Rand. I'll say that. I tried to get through Atlas Shrugged and I couldn't.
It's bad.
really dense, and it's not like the characters. The characters feel like robot. They feel like aliens. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what's gonna happen with someone who has a philosophy such as Ayn Rand's.
Yeah.
It's just it's the what's it called, the
objectivism.
No, it's objectivism, but like the it's like a falling card house. House of Cards.
House of Cards?
Yeah, it's just
falling
card house.
You had a Rich Evans moment.
That's what I thought
Folding
the Kevin
table.
Spacey show was called. Falling Card House.
Okay, so we now need to make a like a Bottom Gear style meme of where we edit a House of Cards poster, but we change the title
Falling
and
Card House.
we make whoever's on the poster look like Goofy, like we give him like googly eyes and like a drooly mouth.
I'll just put my face up there.
Well, put Miles and like Sebastian and I don't know who. You can put Jess's face on Robin Wright's head.
Yeah, and then
or Robin Wright's body rather.
Have Brian in there.
Yeah,
Brian is just the guy.
Well, no,
Brian
should be Kevin Spacey.
Wow. Okay.
No offense, Brian.
Sorry, Brian. What the fuck is his problem? He's calling me Kevin Spacey.
He's got the creepy voice.
He's
though,
never been so
which
right in his life.
Which works for Frank.
Frank.
I know we're.
Jesus, Frank.
I'll right up your nose. That's not Frank. That's Lorax. But
oh my god, that's funny. But yeah,
we're not here to talk about that particular entry into science fiction. We're talking about Dune.
But we're gonna build up to that a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit because about a number of things.
Yes.
The first thing is kind of introducing you to the audience, as it were.
Sure.
You know, we've worked together. Actually, for a number of years at this point, on different projects.
It's just weird to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you showed up in one of my high school films.
Yes, yeah.
where it was of Jacob and he's walking around looking for his date.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil anything. I'll put in a clip right here of you showing up.
Yes.
But that was back when you had the green hair and everything.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right. Yeah.
Have you seen my crush anywhere?
No.
And now Jacob has green hair.
Yes, he does.
Him and his girlfriend have green hair.
Yeah.
You know, now
Well, I thought she had purple. Or am I misremembering that?
I think you
am I
might
tripping?
Be.
I'm tripping.
You're tripping.
I'm
bro.
tripping.
It's come full circle.
It has.
And then you helped me out years ago at this point with Star Wars Lightspeed.
Yes, yeah.
You were the character at one of the characters at the beginning who's like a charter official and everything. Yeah. You can hear him right here.
Well, as a delivery boy, you know very well that all Lorda vessels must be registered and approved before any and all flight processes. As a penalty, you will turn over your ship to the Charter Corporation. We're sending a landing party now.
Oh no! You don't want to do that.
And why not?
We just had a whole cleaning crew of Mon Calamaris on board. Yeah, I know. Counterintuitive. It's very slippery over here.
Wait a second. Our sensors are picking up unusual energy signals from your ship. Who is this?
That's a little editing trick right there. You know, it's very nice.
I was basically playing like a Chome Corporation guy.
Yeah,
connecting this back to Dune.
I remember. Well, I remember the way you were playing it, which was really funny because it was almost like one of these telemarketers, you know, where you're just kind of miserable.
Oh yeah.
You know? And
well, yeah. I mean, of course. I'm basically like a. Oh, what do you call it? It's like, I mean, it's air traffic control, but it's like even duller than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Space traffic control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a very like boring job with a lot of paperwork, and it's like I have to imagine it's long hours. So yeah, it's not a fun job.
No, not it's the wonders of Star Wars, but not fun for you.
No.
Your character lives a very miserable life in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the guy who just has the stapler. That's his own. You know, your cousin is a Jedi, and all you have is a stapler.
Yeah.
A space stapler. That's gonna be the next Star Wars story we do.
Oh god.
Space Stapler. A Star Wars story.
I feel bad for Star Wars. Star Wars has fallen so far.
Well, I mean, that's why we made
I
it.
was saying, that's why you made it. So.
That's why we did it. And then now you are currently helping me
Yes.
as one of the co-leads of our current short film that's coming out.
Yeah.
Golden Hour.
Yes.
Now, can you tell us just a little bit about what you do in the film and everything, and your experience about it?
Yeah. No. I mean, so you came to me maybe like 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, like in December or so.
Yeah.
November, maybe.
I think it was November.
Yeah. So it's even longer.
Yeah. So we talked about that, and you'd shown me the script, and I read for it. And it's I think you'd say, I can't, who was the actor that you it's literally on Chasing Amy.
It's the character's kind of like
I only ever
Jason
remember
Lee's character from
Yes.
Chasing Amy. I'll
Yeah,
find his name right now.
Yeah, I just say because I don't think of him from Chasing Amy. The only thing I've really seen him in is Dogman, so I think of him as
As Azrael.
yeah, as Azrael.
Here he's playing Banky Edwards.
Yeah, which is like the scuzziest name ever.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, on the cover he looks like Rami Youssef. So I was like, "What? Rami Youssef is not in that movie. Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Jason Lee."
A little tease the upcoming podcast, but anyway,
Yes.
so the parallels between this character and
Yeah, kind of just. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, kind of like a scuzzy. I don't know, just not nice person. I mean, I'm very like I can be charming when I need to be, but not a good person overall. I'll
Okay.
just say that.
Well,
Again,
what
I don't want to give
Of course.
a lot of away.
What I will say is that in the film you are the boyfriend of our lead character.
Yes, yeah, that's
Monica,
important to say.
played by Veronica.
Yes.
And have you been having a good time
Yeah.
with the whole filming and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I just say it's nice. It's been a while since I've actually done. I actually don't even remember the last time I actually was on camera. I've been behind the camera more recently, but it's been a while since I've actually acted in something, and it's nice to do that again.
Mhm.
I say the last time I think I did it was, I think it would have been my senior year, when I tried to shoot it was intended to be a pilot for like a web series that never got off the ground. Like most of my film projects.
Not anymore, buddy.
That's because I'm not the one in charge of like directing stuff.
You're gonna be the new lead in the new upcoming web series, Falling Card House.
So initially, I don't know why, but I was thinking you were gonna say Falling Down. I was like, Falling Down, that's a good movie.
Oh, the Michael Douglas, yeah, Joel Schumacher.
Yeah,
crazily enough.
yeah. This proof he's not a bad director like that.
No, he's
and
not.
Lost Boys. And then he had to make he had to make Batman Forever.
I like Batman Forever.
It's not as bad as Batman and Robin.
No,
I've come around
yeah.
to liking, like, with the exception of
Two-Face.
Yeah, Two-Face and the
Yeah.
Riddler, which I love hearing about, like the backstage dynamics of those two.
Yeah.
I hate you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery.
And yet in the film, Two-Face is the biggest buffoon out of both of them.
he's hamming it up.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This dude should have been like. He should have been the equivalent to like a Michael Corleone, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? He should have been a dark gangster,
Yeah.
but, you know, like that shit. That's what we're getting from Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, he's mugging. He's like mugging for the camera. Yeah, just like
It's awful. I'm sorry, I really like that film, but
it's sad too because like the first scene, he's kind
Yeah,
of
he's-
holding back.
yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, this could be good.
Yeah.
It's not Billy D. Williams. I wanted Billy D. Williams,
Yeah.
but
we
okay.
deserve Billy D. Williams.
This could be good,
Yeah.
but then like once you get past that first scene, you're like, no.
Or he said something like some line about now it's only wine and chocolates and roses for you, or in your case, beer and pizza. And I was like, okay, it's over at this point. It's done, man. And that's sad because Tommy Lee Jones is one of my favorite
He's a good actor.
actors of
Yeah.
that era.
Yeah.
Like The Fugitive is one of my favorite films of all time, and he's a big part of why that is.
I say a great No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah. Even I keep on forgetting he was in the first Captain America film.
Yeah,
The first Avenger.
yeah. He's still skinny.
he's great in it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's taking it seriously and everything. He's acting I saw it recently with Miles and Crystal.
Yeah.
And because Crystal hasn't seen all the Marvel films, so
Right, I
we're
can say
trying
every
to
you're
catch her
telling
up.
me, yeah.
Yeah, so we're watching Captain America, and aside from the jokes being made by Crystal about, I wish Arnold Schwarzenegger were Captain America in this film.
Oh, God, no. No.
I'm noticing Tommy Lee Jones is really giving
He gives it his all.
in
Yeah.
that film, in a Marvel film. And
Yeah.
those were the days, man.
Those were the days. Phase 1 still holds up really well, with the
Solid.
exception of Iron Man 2.
Yeah, that's at this
That's like
point
the
that's more
one-
like a dent. Rather
Oh yeah,
than a
I would
kink
say
in the armor.
compared to like especially like current stuff. Yeah, like Iron Man 2, it's like Citizen Kane. And honestly,
Yeah.
like I can forgive most of the stuff in Iron Man 2 with the except like it's really Whiplash that's like the weak point.
Yeah.
Because
And-
Rhodey's fine. Rhodey's good.
Rhodey's pretty. He's good. He's good.
And Hammer is good.
Yeah, Hammer's good. It's the same kind of problem with like Batman Forever with the two villain problem. One does
Yeah.
nothing. One does too much. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's really sad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've been making Golden Hour, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's you've been doing a really good job. I'd say. Like I kind of had this. I told you Jason Lee was the physical kind of manifestation for the character, but you're like obviously. Well, not obviously, but until everyone's seen it. But it's obvious to me that I'm getting a lot of, funny enough, like the Kyle MacLachlan vibe.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't really. Interesting. Tell me more.
Well, I just feel like you have that kind of intensity, and especially now, and it might not feel that way while we're filming, of course. But when we start to put it together in the edit,
I'm gonna see.
we're
what
gonna get that.
I'm gonna see what it. I'm interested to see what it looks like both during post-production and then obviously once it's done. I'm interested to see how it comes together.
Yeah, well, I'm aiming for October
Okay.
to get it done.
It's
and
appropriate.
everything. You know, I mean, of course, it's not going to be... Like Veronica's been telling people about the film, and they're like, when's it coming out? And she's
like-
saying, like, next July it's coming out. I'm like, what? It's no, dude, it's coming out in October.
Yeah.
But to be fair, she doesn't... Like, I never really told anyone this is when it's coming out.
Yeah.
So, No, this ain't gonna be one of those horror movies in January.
No,
that's bullshit.
Horror movies in January. That's like again, it's the whole fuck you. It's January. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's been some decent stuff that has been dumped during January, but yeah.
A horror movie opening up in January is legitimately scarier than the horror movie itself.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah. You release horror movie. There are 2 months that you release horror movies in: October and December.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of Christmas horror. Christmas horror is a very interesting subgenre.
Well, I feel like it's been getting bigger in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
Well, I remember the last big one of horror, not action or anything, during the holiday season was Krampus.
Yeah, I was gonna say Krampus, and I think there were a couple other ones around that time. They had there was one more recently, like maybe a year ago, where it's like Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, I was about to call it Bad Santa. That's not it.
No, it's not. No, not Bad Santa.
Santa. Evil, not Santa. I'm gonna do the.
It's like Silent Night.
Fallen Card House.
I keep wanting to call it Silent Night, Deadly Night, but that's not it. But it's something
Silent Night. There was one called Silent Night.
I think that's the one.
But it's with David Arbor, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But we watched it. That's the weird thing. We watched it here during the Christmas time, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Let's just call it Falling Card House.
Falling Card House.
During the holidays.
Santa murders a bunch of people. That's the point.
You know what? Let's call it Murder Santa.
Yeah, Murder Santa.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
Murder Santa.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to do a holiday film starring
I
Brian.
would actually be interested to see you do like a holiday, like a kind of like parodic holiday film. That's the next thing you do after you're done with this. After you're done with this universe, I know you have plans for what you're gonna do next.
Yeah.
But that's something that seriously needs to be written.
I agree, and I already know what the film's about. It's about a guy who desperately wants to be Santa Claus.
Okay.
Is failing tremendously,
right.
Stalking people, and dresses up in his final form as Santa Claus and breaks into people's houses and starts stealing presents.
Oh no!
And killing people. And who's playing Santa? Or fake Santa?
Yeah.
Brian M.
I was
Coryell.
going to say Brian is the obvious choice.
And then we have a kung fu fight scene at the end between him and the Easter Bunny.
Okay.
Who plays
Played
the
by
Easterner?
Sebastian.
I was going to say Justin.
Justin, yeah, Justin's actually
Dude,
the correct choice.
That's Juggernaut versus Hulk right there,
Yeah.
dude. That's Hulk versus Thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they patch things up by the end like Hulk and Thing, though?
Yes, but only due to the intervention of the Tooth Fairy.
Okay, yeah.
Played by Sebastian.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's actually perfect casting.
Sebastian is the Tooth Fairy. I am here to remedy things. They're not cavities.
I say if you can
He
get
flies
me,
away.
if you can get me in as the elf who says, "Why weren't you at elf practice?"
You as an elf would be pretty good.
I would play
how you are.
I would play like the crabbiest like elf. The other alternative is I can play. I had an idea for this character where he's like, it's like Danny Elfman during the Oingo Boingo decade, dressed like he did when he was in Oingo Boingo. So like the pants with the combat boots, and the tank top. But he has like an elf hat, and he's called Danny the Elf Boy.
I like that. Danny the Elf Boy.
Yeah.
I could also picture like a supreme alcoholic with that name.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Danny the Elf Boy. And he's always dressed like that.
Yes.
It's not just Christmas. It's
No.
like July.
All the time.
It's all the time. This guy's dressed up. Danny the Elf Boy.
Exactly.
And, the whole movie, there's no arc for him. He's just drunk the whole time. He's like, hey, fuckers. I'm Danny the Elf Boy.
See, now this sounds like we're making Naked, starring David Thewlis.
Santa dropped me. I like that.
I need to see Naked. I just recently found out about it and was like, oh my god, I need to see this
What
movie.
is this?
Naked? Yeah, starring David Thewlis, who people probably know as Professor Lupin.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Which I also always forget that he played Ares in
Wonder Woman, yeah.
Yeah, not great. I wish he'd played Prometheus instead.
Yeah, I wish that... I watched Wonder Woman the other year, and I saw what they were doing with Ares and stuff, and a lot of the setup is good.
Yeah.
I just wish he wasn't a big CGI thing at the end.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
I wish he was... It would have been really interesting if he were that same kind of form of like this...
That's way more
you know?
menacing.
It is, and rather than this whole... we have to bring out the armor from the comic books. Like, no, it did look cool in the Snyder Cut, I will say, when they brought him in. You know, him as the younger Ares with Zeus and all them. I thought that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I was on board with it until they killed Hindenburg, or not Hindenburg. Well, no, they do kill Hindenburg too. I mean, it's presumably Hindenburg is dead, and then they kill Ludendorff, and now you fucked up the timeline of the interwar period.
I don't know. Wait, what are you talking about?
Paul von Hindenburg, there's a guy who looks like Paul von Hindenburg. Hindenburg and Ludendorff basically ran a dictatorship, military dictatorship in Germany.
Oh my god!
During the First World War.
Yes.
And then Hindenburg became president of Germany and helped and was the one who appointed Hitler chancellor. And Ludendorff was involved in like the early Nazi movement. Led the beer hall putsch.
This is how fucked up I am. When you said that, I was picturing the Baron.
Oh, okay. that makes that I would say.
I don't know why I was picturing that.
Yeah. I love the Baron. Baron's a great character.
Well, look, before we talk about Dune itself, there is one thing I want to talk because, of course, it is very timely. And it might seem like a non sequitur, but it probably is. I want to talk about the first look of David Cornsweet's Superman.
Oh, yeah. I'm cool with talking about that.
Because I'm very curious about... we've talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
To really get into it, because now it's become kind of a meme at this point.
Yeah, which I don't necessarily get the hate that some people have for it. I mean, like, I understand why, but I feel like it's kind of an overreaction.
It's definitely an overreaction. Okay, so there are a lot of facets behind this.
Yeah.
The first problem with this image for some people is that it's not Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I understand people still being resentful over Henry getting shafted, but like at some point you just gotta let it go.
Yeah, I mean look at that figure right there.
I'm looking at MODOK.
No,
right?
no, behind MODOK,
Oh.
right there. We have Superman, black suited Superman, right there. Henry Cavill's Superman, which is and that's a beautiful suit, beautiful figure, and everything. I understand why we wanted Henry to come back. And everything, but it's just not happening. So
at some point
y'all
you gotta
let it go.
At some point you gotta move on.
You gotta move on.
And I say this is someone who actually really liked Henry as Superman. I actually still like Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta move on at some point.
It's time.
I will also say, I say this is someone also who I think Henry's suit is like the suit that he wears in Man of Steel is probably my favorite cinematic Superman suit.
It's a really nice one.
It's very well designed, and
yeah.
I like the way that it rationalizes a lot of elements of superhero fashion. It makes it feel alien and like something that would exist in that world. I think it's
true.
It's my favorite. I think my favorite version of the Superman S too.
Oh yeah, no, it does feel very alien. I mean, the whole goal of Man of Steel was to make him feel alien. So I'm completely with that design and everything. Regarding this design, with David Cornsweet, I like that it takes elements from all sorts of versions of the costume. You know, obviously there's the Kingdom Come crest.
Yeah, the Kingdom Come crest. It's got the kind of yellow line that some of the yellow outline that kind of some of the older suits have.
Yeah.
Where people have noticed like the collar, and then some of the like the more armorish details are kind of more like New 52 era.
The trunks.
Yeah, I say the trunks, which I'm not a super big fan of, but I can set that aside. I say,
I'm with the trunks. I like the trunks.
I've told you before, like the fact that presumably the JSA exists in this world and existed in the 40s. It makes sense why, because the trunks are something that were borrowed from like circus strongmen, and if superheroes emerged in an era in which the circus was more relevant as a form of popular entertainment, I have an easier time accepting that that would become an enduring part of superhero fashion. And then I can also, because the suit doesn't look like, it's not something that, it's not like, oh, you know, thanks, my mom made it for me. This is not that suit. It looks more alien, like the New 52 one, and I'm fine if they explain the trunks the way they do in, I don't know if you've seen My Adventures with Superman, yeah?
The anime kind of show, right? Yeah. I've seen some of it.
I'm fine with them explaining it the way they do in in My Adventures with Superman, where it's something that's added on.
Yeah,
where like Ma Ken is like, you need something to break out the blue. I'm fine.
You
fine
look
with
naked.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that as an explanation. So
I'm fine with that too, especially since the idea of this suit, I believe it's his Kryptonian suit. It's something he gets from there. I like the idea that this Kingdom Come logo.
Yeah, that's just the House of L.
That's the House of L. And then I would really like it if, you know, this suit, it looks damaged in the photo.
Yeah.
If it gets destroyed, and by the end of the film he gets his classic suit, because David Cornsweet has that classic look as not only Clark Kent but Superman.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of the fan art I've seen depicting him in a classic uniform.
It looks good.
It looks great. Yeah, it looks great. So if he gets that where it is translated into the S we know it, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
Now, in regards to the photo itself, right? The photo is, I will say, awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. It's definitely not the conventional like hero pose, and I think people have talked about, like, I think Gunn went with that pose to try and humanize Clark.
Yeah,
which I understand, but yeah, it's definitely not conventional.
Yeah, I appreciate what they're going for regarding that vulnerable side of Clark. Yeah. It's just not. I don't know. The photo itself is just not doing it for me. It's not what I would have preferred, especially if you're trying to bring confidence.
Sure.
For what will be a cinematic universe.
Yeah.
You got to sell people on, because everyone's been down on DC, especially last year.
Yeah.
You know? We got to really believe that this movie is not going to be in the tone of something like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which I love, but
sure, it's not appropriate for Superman.
Right. I want something that is fun, but also has that hope with it, like, entrenched within it, and it can get dark, you know. It has to be a mixture of a bit of everything. You know. So yeah, that's, in terms of the photo, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I would say I have similar feelings. It's definitely not what I would have done in terms of like the first image, but overall the suit looks fine, and I expect that even if, like, you know, you think about the way that like Tony's suit evolved in involved in the MCU or other character suits as well.
Star-Lord.
Yeah, and you say they may they would make small alterations from film to film, and I expect that will the kinks will get worked out as we go from. I mean, even when we go to like Supergirl, I expect that you'll see a slightly different version of the suit would be my expectation.
Yeah, I wonder if she will also have that crest of the.
She probably will.
The Kingdom Come, which is fine. I'm fine if they ever do Kingdom Come, like a proper adaptation of it way down the line, and they bring that back. That has a whole new context to it, And I think that's cool, know. So by them setting the groundwork now, it's kind of predicting the future almost.
Sure.
Again, I'm not trepidatious. I am cautiously optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
Just because that's the safe thing to do nowadays with things I'm excited for. But yeah, I'm excited for Superman either way. The cast is, I think, pretty amazing at this point,
I just say, I'm very excited to see Miss Maisel as Lois Lane.
Yeah. I mean, and especially Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great.
That's what we've been saying.
Yeah.
it's gonna be great, Superman,
and not in a sarcastic way.
No, I legitimately think it's gonna be great.
I think so too.
Superman, and they're just calling it Superman.
Yeah, you don't need to
clean.
Yeah,
drop the.
Yeah,
just Superman.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing for Supergirl as well.
For like not call it Woman of Tomorrow. Just Supergirl.
Just call it Supergirl.
Yeah, probably. I would like that.
Yeah,
Supergirl. Just
You don't necessarily need it.
No.
So.
And then there's Batman.
Yeah.
So we'll see about Batman. I'm very curious. He's probably gonna have a Neil Adams look to him. I predict.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about like the kind of more
the blue, the gray, the symbol, like the yellow symbol? I think.
Yeah, it's the. I mean, I think they could go either way on the oval, but yeah, definitely they're probably gonna lean more in like the blue. I mean, even like Jim Lee went with kind of went with that look. So
yeah,
and it would be appropriate because they're going to be adapting. It looks like they're going to be adapting stories from the period where Jim Lee was working along with Batman. So.
Yeah.
The year is 2024. The man is Roman Parliament. He is the last pimp on Earth. A pimp born too early or too late.
Give me some sugar, baby.
All women want him. All men want to beat him. But he's the baddest mamma jamma ever to be on the streets.
What is this guy doing?
12-Step Pictures presents, from acclaimed filmmaker Klaus Vane.
Nice pussy.
What are you doing here?
I'm the last pimp on Earth, bitch. I do what I want.
The last pimp on Earth. Coming this summer.
Ow! Ow! Get over it. Cut.
All right. Before we get into the main discussion,
Yes.
I need to tell you something.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready, champ?
That's short for champion.
That's short for champion. Which you aren't.
Be funny.
3, 2, 1, go! Funny now. That's fun.
I love David Lynch's acting.
He's in apparently I just learned this a couple years ago that he's in the Cleveland Show.
Yeah, I just looked up. I looked up his Wikipedia article and I was like, what else has he been in? Because he's obviously acted in a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's like a member of what's John Waters' stable of?
Oh, I don't know.
It's something like that. But he's like the perfect actor to say his dialogue.
I love that. I love doing David Lynch. I had the most embarrassing moment in a class last year where it's one of those classes that's it's a media law class, so there's like over 100 people in the class and everything, and we're all raising our hand to talk and everything. Can anyone here I don't know why the professor said, can anyone here do an impression of anyone? And people are doing impressions and shit, and I could do a David Lynch. I could do a David Lynch, and you've heard it, and it's okay, you know, at the very least it's okay.
It's passable.
You know, it's passable. I gotta work on it still, but I guess this is the most Lynch impression I could do in the moment, because it's like, okay, who can you do? David Lynch is like, all right, go for it. And I just sit back and say, good morning. And then it's just silent because either half people.
You should have done, because you know he used to do the weather report.
Oh, I know. That's
you should have done that.
I was going to do that, but I froze.
If you can't believe it.
If you can't believe it, it is cloudy outside. 70 degrees. Like, I was going to do that, but I froze because it's like over 100 people.
Obviously, you're in a huge auditorium.
I was like,
yeah.
Good morning. And then it was silent because either people didn't know who David Lynch was.
Zoomers don't know who David Lynch is. They only just now know who Kyle MacLachlan is because he's in Fallout. Despite the fact that he was in fucking Twin Peaks, which is like one of the biggest TV shows of that period.
Fallout.
My
mind.
I'd love to hear what David Lynch thinks about Fallout.
I was thinking about this today at work, what his Fallout would be if he were to direct Fallout. Very interesting.
Like, actually, it'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I could see him doing it.
Yeah, I didn't say. It's sad he didn't get. It's sad that he did. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was gonna say it's sad that he did Dune instead of Return of the Jedi. But I mean, well, I actually like Dune for what it is.
And I like Return of the Jedi for what it is. You know.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been great.
He starts to show me these things called Wookiees. And now, around this time, I start to get pretty bad headache. Not that I don't like salad, but it was all they had.
Not that I don't like salad, but that's all they had. This he's a small guy in a big Corvette.
Yeah, didn't he talk about like George Lucas like tried to impress him by like taking him for a ride in like some fast car
I think
around
it was a Porsche or something.
Yeah, around shit.
Skywalker Ranch?
No, what's the
it's like off the compound they're driving.
What's the place that Steve Jobs grew up in? What's the town?
Silicon?
It's not Silicon Valley, it's
I don't know.
It's the place that Stanford is. It's outside of Silicon Valley. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, that place.
He's probably just driving around San Francisco the whole time, and then fucking David Lynch is, can you pull over, please? I'm not doing the fucking movie.
I'm about to be sick.
I'm about to retch all over your nice car.
I'm about to retch all over you, George.
I still don't know what a Wookiee is.
Pull the fuck over.
Dude, I could, yeah. But no, David Lynch is. I'm more familiar with his place in film history rather than his filmography.
Yeah,
which is why seeing the movie we're talking about, my first time watching Dune.
A beginning is a very delicate time. Know then that it is the year 10,191. In this time, the most precious substance in the universe is the spice melange.
From 1984.
Was it your first Lynch movie? I can't remember.
No, it may be. I watched plenty of Twin Peaks.
Sure.
Didn't finish it, but I'm still catching up.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say.
I haven't seen Eraserhead. I haven't seen Blue Velvet.
Mulholland Drive?
No. Then it might. Yeah, I think it is my first David Lynch film.
Inland Empire?
Oh, I'd have to double check on that one. I don't think so.
Not Elephant Man, yeah?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, so this is
very familiar with the films.
Sure.
Haven't seen them,
yeah.
Aside from Dune. So this is my first entry, and getting to see it in a theater.
Yeah.
At the Vidiot's. I mean, we have a copy right here lent to me by my friend Daniel. and it's a beautiful copy. But we saw that it was playing at the Vidiots in Eagle Rock, which is a half video store and movie theater.
Yeah.
You got it on May the 4th. I mean,
Yes.
come on, it's the way to go and everything.
Yeah.
So,
It was a fun time.
well, is this your first time watching it?
No. I watched it for the first. I think I was 16 when I first watched it. Yeah, and I got it. I actually rented it from Videotech, I think. Yeah, I watched it, and I watched it with friends because I just recently found out about Dune, and I was sort of just starting to get into Lynch as well. And I found out about Dune because I was into Star Wars.
Yeah, and this
looking...
is the inspiration for not the film but the book by Frank Herbert.
Yeah, the book was a big inspiration, which I have a list.
Oh, of inspirations for Star Wars.
I don't know if you want to go through it now, but we can go through it at some point. I have just a list of all the things that George Lucas just straight up ripped from Dune.
Well, let's save that for the special trivia section.
I understand. Well, this is like a separate video that you could, like a 10-minute video you can upload after this.
Oh, it will. Don't worry. It will be called "What George Lucas Took."
George Lucas is an unoriginal hack.
George Lucas, thief.
Yes. Yeah, actually, that's perfect.
Exclamation point.
Yeah.
And then it'll be AI art of George Lucas boxing David Lynch.
That's great.
It's gonna be great. Fuck you.
But yeah, no, this is not the first time that I've seen
You've
it.
seen
I've seen it plenty of times.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying
But this is the first time in a theater.
Yes, and it was the first time that I had seen it in a while. I think the last time I had seen it would have been while I was in high school. Probably like my senior year. I haven't seen it in a while.
Well, who would have known that this movie... well, for one thing, we went with our friend Veronica, who is not familiar with this stuff at all.
No.
And we went with a crowd that's obviously big into David Lynch. The area is very arty and, kind of hipsterish and everything. So, of course, there's going to be a following of David Lynch over there.
Yeah.
And I didn't suspect or expect this movie to be a crowd film.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone's getting involved. Because I know about Dune. I've seen reviews and everything. I've seen clips of it, of course. But watching it, and everyone recognizing what kind of movie it is and the flaws and everything, and like when Sting shows up, you know, like
fade, lovely fade,
lovely fade. You know, it's a movie to watch for the first time in the theater.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
Well, yeah, and it's also a fun, and this is kind of how I first watched it. I want to say I watched it with friends, and we did it kind of like almost like an MST3K type thing where we were enjoying it for what it was as well, and actually taking it relatively seriously, but we also were taking it so seriously that we couldn't make fun of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that works well both as it works well both in a theater setting with a large crowd, and also just like if you want to get friends together and just watch I think it's fine for what it is, but it's ridiculous. It's a very silly movie, and it's fun to make fun of it.
It is fun to make fun of it, which is kind of sad because that's juxtaposed. The movie itself is juxtaposed with the experience David Lynch had making it.
Yeah,
which was very miserable.
It was very painful, and it was the thing that got him to basically swear off making like big studio movies.
Yeah. So this was after his meeting with Lucas.
Yeah,
obviously, because when did it return? 83, right?
Yeah, and this is 84.
84. So this is probably around that time when he's getting ready to, or it probably was a little bit after, because the making of the film was like I believe it was like a 3-year process from beginning to end.
Yeah, well, and keep in mind also this was not the first time that I want to say Dino De Laurentiis had the rights for I think a while.
Yeah, he had
that.
Yeah, for a while. Him and Frank Herbert.
Yeah, and he tried to back in the 70s. He tried to get Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky was on board, but I want to say the issue was that
was it cost?
I think it was cost. Like Jodorowsky had. I mean, I would love this is actually a good use for AI. Is to now that AI can make like realistic images. I would love to see someone make an AI. If people can dig up like scripts of
concept art,
concept art for that, and just take like I want to see an AI rendered version of like this is like the casting for this was so great. Like I would love to see like an AI rendered version of Salvador Dali as Emperor Shaddam, and fucking more than anything, I would love to see like a photorealistic AI performance of Orson Welles as Baron
The
Vladimir
Baron,
Harkonnen,
who would have
which
been
is
Paul
perfect
in Jodorowsky's.
I don't remember who he had. I know he wanted Mick Jagger as Fade.
Fade, yeah, that sounds right.
Which is interesting because there's like a running theme. So he wanted obviously a rock star to play Fade, and then they ended up obviously getting Sting for this movie.
Yeah.
So I think the decision to cast Sting was partially influenced by that. And then they end up getting Austin Butler, who is not a rock star, but he played Elvis. And I have to believe that probably played into Denis Villeneuve's decision to cast him.
Well, and also, someone like Zendaya being cast in the film, or films at this point.
Yeah.
Someone who was a pop star at first.
Right.
The music plays a very interesting role in this series of movies, and that's
I'm gonna say they wanted to get Pink Floyd to do the score for Jodorowsky's Dune, and they ended up getting Toto and also Brian Eno for the
Lynch's
84
Dune.
film. Yeah, for Lynch's Dune.
Yeah, this movie has such an interest, or I say this movie, but this, I guess, franchise has such an interesting
it's now a
cinematic
franchise.
history.
Yeah,
I don't know if you heard about what Jodorowsky said about seeing Dune, seeing the 84 one.
No,
he said he was so it all fell apart for him, right?
Yeah,
and he's in this documentary about the canceled movie, and he's being asked what he thought about Lynch's film, and he's talking about how he's being like, I don't want to go see it, it's a reminder of the pain of not making it. I wanted to make this, I wanted this to be my movie, and he's like, I'm not gonna go see it. His sons come up to him and say, we're gonna go watch this because it was like some Dune shit. He was like, we're warriors, and we power through this. Like, all right, fine. And he's like, he's scared because he loves David Lynch, and he's like, man, David Lynch is gonna make it, and he's gonna make it better than I ever could.
Right.
He gets in the theater, he starts watching, he starts laughing.
Yeah.
Because he's like,
oh,
I knew it.
I bet you he had the reaction that a lot of us had. I think the moment he probably started laughing was when he saw the Guild Navigator.
Yeah.
I think that's the first indication of like what kind of movie it is, where it's like, it's gonna be weird, and it's gonna be a little silly.
Yes. Yeah, so I like that his pride wasn't damaged.
Yeah, no.
At all when that happened. But yeah, so this you said Pink Floyd for Jodorowsky's.
Yeah.
Toto for this one.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer for the new ones.
Yeah, which is not like a rock star, but effectively like a rock star in terms of like, in the world of like film composition. I mean,
and he includes like those elements in his music.
Yeah, I would say
well.
like the only way you could have had like more of a through line is if you got like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to do this.
Oh yeah, that would have been fucking crazy.
Yeah,
they
would have been. I think actually I don't know. I just say they would have been good, but I would be interested to see like how different it would have been. Because I think they would have been similar enough, but it would definitely feel distinct. So
with these new ones, it would have come across more as horror. I was thinking actually, what if Daft Punk were hired to compose, because they did amazing work with Tron Legacy.
Yeah,
in terms of a composition and everything, and orchestral performance. That would have been really interesting.
That would be another one too.
Yeah.
Although I feel like if you wanted to continue thinking, if you wanted like the theme of like having a really big popular artist do it, I feel like the thing to do would be Grimes, because she is like a huge fan of Dune.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Like she has tracks named after like places in Dune. So like she has like a song called Gidi Prime. There's like
Arrakis.
No, there's like it's like Gidi Prime, Face Dancers. It's a lot. It's more stuff than our earlier albums that are named their references to Dune.
Damn.
But yeah, she's like a huge Dune fan. I'm kind of surprised she wasn't involved, honestly, given all that.
Maybe in the third one.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, did you read the book before anything?
No. Well, so I tried to get through the book. I watched Dune 84 first, and then I tried to read the book. I have a copy of it, but it's from that area of science fiction where where Herbert and Asimov, and like of the kind of big three, like Herbert, Asimov, and then
H.G. Wells?
No, H.G. Wells was dead by that point, I think.
Good.
We just talked about him. Heinlein.
Oh, okay.
Heinlein is definitely the most accessible of those writers in terms of their prose. Oh no, Philip K. Dick. That's the other big one. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Philip K. Dick. Where like Philip K. like in terms of like ranked in terms of how accessible they are, Heinlein I think is the most accessible. Then it's probably in his most like lucid moments, Philip K. Dick.
Yeah. Yep.
And then Asimov. And Asimov, like it's not so much an issue of like like Dick's prose can just be very disorienting. Whereas with Asimov's, I think it's more an issue of like lexicon and diction.
Yeah.
He's just a very elevated writer. And then Herbert, at least if we're talking about Dune, it's just the issue is you're disoriented by the world building. It's a very alien setting, and it's also just very dense.
Yeah, it's really
hard to
dense
get through.
book. I had that kind of issue when I was reading the first book, at least, and it is a very dense book, and trying to keep up with all the factions and the people and the terminology and
There's
everything.
a reason why it has an index at the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Many dangers exist on Arrakis.
The unknown, an incredible secret has been kept on this planet. And the unbelievable meet.
I see two great houses feuding.
Exactly, and that's part of, I think, what the trouble was in terms of making this film at this time, because it's interesting to hear Lynch's perspective during the making of the film versus after the fact, like now, because now he's very resentful towards the film, and I understand why, because the big thing is he didn't get final cut with it. It had to be a certain length because of the amount of times it could be played in theater at the time, which now has kind of been eliminated with streaming.
Well, and movies are also, I think even before streaming became really big, I felt like movies were starting to get longer and longer. I mean, think about, I think it was a trend that was initiated by Nolan.
Yeah, probably.
Where I think Warner Brothers was wise enough to be like, Nolan is a brilliant filmmaker. Let's just let him. I mean, obviously, it can't be like Lawrence of Arabia or Ten Commandments, but we'll give him a longer running time because he needs it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm glad. I think probably with. Well, I would say Peter Jackson with Lord of the Rings as well.
Yeah, I would say that was an early indication of that. But I think, but even then, I think at that time, Lord of the Rings was an outlier. And it's weird because I had been going back and rewatching movies from when I was a very small kid, and it's like the idea of a movie being an hour and a half is like so foreign now. It sounds weird.
It sounds short.
Yeah, it sounds short. Like, damn, that's a quick movie.
I think it's because now everyone, like, for me, someone who works, right, an hour and a half at work is really quick.
Yeah.
All things considered, I finally got to watch Dune Part 2, which is almost a 3-hour film.
Yeah.
Today at work. And it took most of the shift, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, now it's kind of now the norm, but something like...
movies used to be an hour and 15 minutes.
I know, that's too short. That's too short. But, definitely the Lord of the Rings trilogy kind of set the template, which Nolan would follow. Now we're here with the new films and everything. And it's kind of unfortunate because with this film, it's very... long. Let me see how long it is.
Yeah, and you can tell to the point at which I think producer was like, okay, we got to speed this up.
This is 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Yeah,
which is crazy because that's short now.
Yeah,
I guess it's normal at this point.
Well, and it feels very rushed too. That's the strange thing.
They're trying to fit 2 films.
Yeah.
Now it is 2 films into one movie, and that's the thing about the movie is that at the beginning when we're watching it, I'm feeling like in the first act, it's solid.
It really takes its time too.
It does take its time, but it's appropriate because I'm getting the feeling, okay, they're only going to get up to the point where the first film ends, right?
And then you get past that point, and you're like, okay, we got to speed through this.
Blow shit up.
We got 30 minutes left.
Worms.
We got 30 minutes left. We got to finish this movie.
Yeah, we got to finish the whole book. I mean, it was insane. And I at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, okay, this is kind of goofy, but it's not
bad.
Bad.
That first like 2/3 is actually really solid. I would say.
No, I agree. And even though it is a little hard to follow because
it's a little campy.
Yeah, it's very campy. I mean, the way I kind of look at this is the way that Veronica was watching it. Because Veronica is not invested in science fiction in the way that we are.
No, she has specifically in Dune.
And Dune as well. But that's true. Yeah, she's interested, but she's not like encyclopedic about it. Let me put it that way.
I think this was her first exposure. I think she said this was her first exposure to Dune as a franchise as well.
Yeah, and she's getting a little lost because of obviously this was having a big trouble during the post process. Yeah. I mean, you can see why Lynch was pissed that he didn't get final cut because there's a narration on top of everything.
Well, I'm just saying it's like theatrical cut Blade Runner
Yeah,
quality.
yeah, no, it is.
And I actually have a feeling it was probably an instance of like, it probably was a similar instance of like, okay, people are not going to know what's going on. We just need ADR some stuff to try and
It's sad,
explain things.
It's sad because if you had a movie that if they had the wisdom back then to split this up into 2 films,
It could have been really good.
it could have been great, man. But unfortunately, I mean, we're leading off with all the negative stuff, but because there are things that I really love about this film. But just to kind of transition to that, the fact that Lynch has said over and over again that he's not going to watch the new stuff because of what happened during this process. It's like these people who are not creatives trying to direct their creatives is still a problem. And I'm very thankful that is not the case with the newer films.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Warner Brothers, again, wise enough to know, okay, Denis Villeneuve is a very talented filmmaker. Let's just, I mean, obviously, like, I know that he didn't know going into the first one if he was going to get a second, but, you know, I think they understand, even with that first one, it feels like he had a lot of creative freedom. So
right,
yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the things we do like about this film. For me, I think this is a technically amazing film.
Yeah,
like the cinematography, the sets. This was shot in Mexico City.
Yeah,
it took a lot of inspiration from kind of the architecture in there, and you can see that.
I see definitely with Arakeen, the capital city of Caracas. You can definitely see that.
It's beautiful. I mean, I really love the sets in this. I love the costuming in this.
It's very like kind of, how do you say, Art Deco, but that's not quite it. But yeah, it's very detailed and very I mean, it's very alien.
Yeah. And it has that kind of that dreadful like undertone in terms of the alien quality, but it's not because it's dangerous. It is dangerous, but because it's unknown.
Yeah,
you know, it doesn't feel human.
No,
and that is absolutely appropriate for this type of film. You know, a movie where it's set on a planet that is a barren wasteland. You know, it has that quality to it, and Lynch, being the director of this, is very inspired. It's an inspired choice.
Yeah, I would say in particular, I want to point out the production design for Gidi Prime, the Harkonnen's homeworld. Really, really great. I think probably my favorite setting in the film.
Yeah,
I really like how they realized it.
Yeah,
and just like it's like a mix of very dark and then very stark lighting, and then all of like the industrial interiors are done really, really well.
Yeah,
and the color palette is beautiful. It's all like grays and whites and blacks and greens. It's really, really done. It's done really well.
The miniature work in this film, I think, is on the level of something like, the original trilogy of Star Wars.
I just say, and there's like some parts specifically with the sandworms where it's like, I mean, which like I grew up watching Ray Harryhausen movies, so I can forgive.
You can bear through it.
Oh yeah, it
can be worse.
I am very forgiving of dated special effects, and it's for me, it's like when I see stuff like that, it feels charming. But yeah, I actually really like a lot of the miniature work with this. A lot of the like, there's also a lot of like kind of early green screens with certain stuff.
Oh yeah. That's why the last act I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah,
the way they handle the action in terms of like, you know, when they're riding the worm and everything. Yeah. It's very clearly they're in front of a screen and everything.
But a lot of really, really beautiful matte paintings, which I love. I miss matte paintings. I wish people used more of them because they're a wonderful. It's one of the instances where like you really feel like the artistry of film. There's something it doesn't quite compare to just like a digitally rendered background.
Yeah.
There's something, not that there isn't skill required for, you know, kind of digital VFX work, but there's something different about, it feels special. Like
it's very manual.
Work. Yeah.
It feels like someone crafted it.
Yeah.
To, you know, create a new world and everything.
Yeah. It feels more craftsman-like, I would say.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think those are the elements of this film that I really love.
Yeah.
A lot of the performances I really like in this film.
Yeah, you say we should really talk about the cast.
Yes.
It's interesting because when this is something we can also kind of draw a through line between Jodorowsky's Dune, Lynch's Dune, and now Denis Villeneuve's Dune. There was an impetus starting in Jodorowsky's Dune to cast very big names in it. Like, again, you know, he wanted Orson Welles as Vladimir. He wanted Salvador Dali as Shaddam. He wanted, you know, Mick Jagger as Fade. And obviously, you have a tremendous...
Paul McCartney is Paul Atreides.
I wouldn't be surprised if he actually seriously thought about that.
That would have been awesome.
And obviously, like, everyone in the new Dune is an A-list actor. It's really weird, though, because I think, like, 60 to 70% of that cast has been in either a Marvel or a DC movie.
Yeah.
It's a little surreal.
It's a stacked cast. Like, dude, when I saw in the new film, spoilers, you see, what's the character Batista plays? Raban, and you see him go up against Gurney. It's like the first thing I thought of was Thanos. That's like the first thing I'm thinking. But yeah, great cast.
Yeah, that's really weird thinking about him as Drax and then
versus Thanos.
Yeah, that's really weird. That's really weird to think of.
Thanos fucked him up twice.
Yeah, And then you've got Aquaman in the mix. Yeah, it's all very, very surreal.
It is very surreal. But this cast includes Kyle MacLachlan as Paul Atreides, and
it was his first film.
His camera test. It was his first time acting in front of a camera.
Yeah,
which is unbelievable, especially because I thought he was the standout in this film for me at least. Especially considering the fact that it is his first time kind of on this scale doing something. I thought he was pretty amazing, actually.
I think he, and then I would say also, I can't remember, let me look up the actor's name because I always forget it, but I really enjoy the performance of the actor who plays Vladimir.
Well, before you find that, I'm gonna just say that Kyle MacLachlan, I learned about him. I'm glad he's getting a resurgence, but I learned about him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is he in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, he was in, I think it was the second season. He played the villain, Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
And he was great in it. Oh, he's so good. And then they obviously brought back Twin Peaks, and he's in Fallout, and I'm just really happy that he's around and everything.
Yeah, and I feel like he's been, I agree. He's definitely been kind of having a resurgence lately. And I think especially after Fallout, I think he's probably going to... We're going to see him in a lot more stuff. I checked
Dune 3, I hope so.
I checked Kenneth McKillen is the actor who plays Vladimir Marconi. It's also weird too. So like you can see a lot of I think they tried to get kind of an all-star cast with this. The way that Jodorowsky wanted to do, but it's interesting. You can see a lot of the actors that are in this go on to, like, Lynch. This was still relatively early on in his career, and so he hadn't quite assembled his stable of actors, but a lot of them end up going on to work with him later. So obviously Kyle MacLachlan is kind of like, it's like him and Laura Dern are the two actors,
the main ones
who of Lynch's stable, who, I mean, setting aside Jack Nance, who's passed away now, unfortunately, but of his kind of contemporary collaborators are probably the two who he's closest with.
Well, they presented him with the honorary award at the it was like an honorary Academy Award.
Yeah.
I forgot the award name, but they were the ones who gave him the Oscar.
Yeah. I say, and Brad Dourif, who by that point had already had his breakout role. He hadn't done Chucky yet, but he was already in. I forgot this, but he was in One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest with
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson, and
who did he play in that?
I don't remember the character's name, but I was saying also Frank. Hi, ladies. I'm Frack. Penguin. Why am I forgetting his Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito. Yeah. So he had already had his breakout. Jose Ferrer was already like a huge actor, which
he plays Doctor.
He plays Shaddam.
Oh, Shaddam. Okay.
Yeah, and then interestingly, his son ends up going on to star in Twin Peaks.
Oh,
so presumably
it's all connected.
Yeah, presumably
incestuous.
Ferrer's son and Lynch met on set. Freddie Jones, I don't know what else other people, like American audiences, have known from. Though I only know him from Krull, which if you ever want to have a discussion about Krull, I'm there for that. That's another movie that I grew up watching as a kid and like I love. I'm going to say Virginia Madsen. I think this was actually her breakout role as well, and obviously like just a couple years later she goes on to star as Helen in Candyman. Helen.
You wanna fuck me?
It's such a great movie. Jack Nance had already done Eraserhead, but obviously was more of like a character actor. Jürgen Prochnow, Jürgen Prochnow was very well. He'd already done Das Boot and was, I think, well known in Europe, and I don't think was super well known to American audiences. Paul Smith, I think, had already done Popeye by that point.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Directed by Robert Altman, by the way.
Wow, with the Robin Williams.
Yeah, with Robin Williams as Popeye and
Shelley Duvall
as Oliver, which is perfect casting.
That is perfect casting.
And then obviously Sting. I think Sting is probably the biggest, with the exception of Max von Sydow, because Max von Sydow would have been known to American audiences. Like by that time, he'd already been working with Bergman for a while, but he was in Exorcist, so he would have been familiar to American audiences. But I think Sting is probably the biggest one,
biggest name.
Yeah.
Well, he became bigger during the filming of Dune.
Yeah, but obviously was already very well known as a musician. I was surprised Patrick Stewart hadn't become a big name by that point when he did Dune. But 3 years later, obviously, he's in TNG, and that kind of blows him up. And then Dean Stockwell, who plays Yui, again, like, pretty well-respected character actor. I guess it was interesting because he and I think Jurgen Prochnow end up showing up both in, I think, Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Air Force One. Yeah, it was really weird. Dean Stockwell, which also he shows up. Both he and Brad Dourif show up just like a couple years later in Blue Velvet.
You make me want to see Eddie Murphy in Dune.
Oh God, I don't know who he would play. He'd be awkward.
Paul Atreides.
No, Stilgar. I want to see him with Stilgar.
I want to see that big dude from Beverly Hills Cop, the not Billy, but his the main with the mustache as Gurney.
Yeah,
let's go.
Actually, I would love to see Charlie Murphy as Stilgar.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that. and then I was with the Fremens, and I told them I'ma smack those Harkonnen bitches.
Revan, he's a continual line stepper.
Continue.
But yeah, and then obviously Alicia Witt went on to do bigger things, and then Sean Young just 2 years before that had done Blade Runner. So they try and assemble the people who hadn't already done big things. They actually go on. A lot of them go on to do bigger things, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, and I think Max von Sydow and Sting were probably the two biggest ones at the time.
They were.
Yeah.
Well, so
and they all give it their all too, even for the smaller and all the parts are kind of hammy. So,
well, they are. I think what takes away from their performances, which I think are great, is the narration.
Yeah.
I don't need every single thought to be. I want it conveyed through their
performances.
Yeah. Well, or at least their performances.
Yeah.
Rather than a whole narration. But that's the problem with kind of adapting a film or a book like this, is that it's so dense with information that you either have to do that or figure it out a different way, which they did with these new films, which is the proper way to do it. I mean, these new films are objectively, and in my opinion, better.
Oh, yeah. That's no question. Even as someone who likes this movie, the new ones are better.
Absolutely. And they give... careful.
Sorry.
No, you're good. They give this story the scope that it deserves.
Yeah.
I wonder... I don't know. I'm glad this movie does exist, I will say. But do you think that it should have been made at this time?
That's a good question.
Because there have been plenty of adaptations, like the sci-fi series.
I would say, which starring James McAvoy, by the way.
Yeah, who I could see. What's funny about that casting is now I could see him in these new films.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Whether it be probably as the Duke, honestly, his dad.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I can say him or I'm trying to think who else. If he was younger, he actually could have played Fade. If they hadn't cast him as Paul, I think he easily could have been Fade.
Yeah,
because he's got the red hair too.
Oh yeah, that's something they left out. But back to the question.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. That's tough. Because that's the thing is if you can make Star Wars because I think part of the thing that I'm factoring is obviously technological constraints. And there are things that you can
cost as well.
Yeah, and there are things that you can do more convincingly now that you couldn't necessarily do as convincingly back then. But I'm thinking if you can make Return of the Jedi just a year before, you can make this one at the same time, I think. And it's kind of I will say I don't think it should have been made. It shouldn't have been made any year between 1989, or I'll say 1990 and 2015.
It should during that period. It should not have been made.
I don't think it should have been made because CGI was not at the point
where it is.
Yeah,
Right.
and especially like even like with the sci-fi one, which like from what I heard is actually pretty decent, and up until Vinny and News ones was probably the better adaptation of the two,
Right.
just in terms of being faithful to the books. And also it goes further. I think they get up to adapting. I think they go up to. I don't think they do God Emperor, but they do Children. Yeah, I think they do Dune, Messiah, and then Children. I think so. I think they do those first three. But yeah, I don't think. Yeah, like this. I think CGI. Once you get up to the year 1990, the temptation to use CGI for some of this stuff would have been too strong, and I don't think that it would have been at a point where. I don't think it could have been used effectively.
Okay.
I say that even like because obviously you've got like you think about like Jurassic Park or
I
or
think
even
of Terminator 2.
yeah. Well, also I was thinking of Peter Jackson's like Lord of the Rings, or even probably a better example would be Peter Jackson's King Kong,
Right.
where the CGI of that is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It
holds up, holds fairly
up,
well.
Yeah, it holds up now. And I would say, I mean, the best example of CGI from that period holding up is obviously Jurassic Park. But I think given the cost of a lot of the other things, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that it should have been made, because I think they would have felt like they would have had to cut corners with digital stuff, and I don't think it would have turned out well.
I wonder what Lynch would think of that, like whether, especially with having to make it and spend all that time and all the money that they did making Dune, if he thinks it should have been made, or it should have been, they should have waited to do it right.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff in this film that, in my opinion, is, and I don't say this sarcastically or as a joke, is amazing.
Yeah.
The imagery in this film, I think, is pretty phenomenal, especially with the, when they depict the womb of Paul's mother.
Oh yeah, that's still like actually really well done and like unsettling.
Yeah, it's unsettling. It is probably the most Lynch shot in the movie.
Yeah, it's that or the Navigator.
Yeah, probably. I think, I don't know, but that one is just the one that really sticks out to me. It's the most startling, the most vulnerable, the most human in weird ways. But
it makes you think of the baby from Eraserhead.
Yeah, no, really it does. And so that's the thing. I'm split on this because I wanted a better movie while watching this.
Sure, yeah.
But there were so many incredible aspects of the film as it was.
Yeah.
If it were split up into two films, I don't know if that would have killed David Lynch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the stress would have been a lot for him.
It would have been great. Like, he would have probably been way grayer now than
he went gray early too.
Yeah.
I say the other thing to take in consideration is who they would have cast if they had made it later. And I think
like as the character, as like Paul or something.
Well, just as any of the characters, and I worry also that, especially once you get to the 90s, I worry that studios would have tried to rework it as a more conventional action film.
Do you think they're doing that now?
No, I think they. I don't think that Villeneuve's is just a standard action movie. I think it actually maintains a lot of the thematic material from the novel. I think it does a good job of transmitting and adapting it. But I think, I worry that the studios would have tried to make it a more conventional movie. I mean, they already kind of try to make it more conventional in this. Like
I was about to say,
yeah,
they blow all sorts of shit up at the end just to make up for what they're like.
Well, more than that, they try to transform Paul into a more conventional hero. And they actually bring in stuff from God Emperor, where at the end of God Emperor, well, actually, no, I take that back. At the beginning of God Emperor, Arrakis has already been terraformed so that it's this lush jungle planet. And there's basically reserves, wildlife preserves for the sandworms so that they can continue to exist and produce spice.
Yeah, they kind of introduced that with, the rain and everything. At
the
very end,
and then
make him a messianic figure.
Yeah, which he's not in the original novel, and that was the misinterpretation of Paul's character is what caused Herbert to write Dune Messiah.
Yeah,
and be like, no, Dune, Paul is not a character that should really be worshipped.
Yeah,
he does a lot of really terrible things.
Yeah.
in the service of ultimately, I suppose what you can interpret as is giving humanity free will, but he's definitely not a
hero. He's not a Luke Skywalker.
At the very least, he's not a conventional hero.
Yeah. Well, what I like about this new one, especially watching it today, is that they do emphasize that this is someone who is bent on revenge.
Yeah.
And that is a very dangerous, bloody pathway, and it costs him by the end. And, in this, it's more like they're trying to have him be angrier and want revenge for the death of his father, but they're also, like, at the very end, they show him as the hero, as the champion of the Fremen and everything, and ultimately the galaxy, which it's really, that's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't work, at least in terms of, like, adapting the source material, and it gets rid of a lot of the really interesting moral ambiguity of Dune, like, which is part of the reason why I liked it, why I like Dune. It's very, and you can feel, I think watching the first half, I'd be interested if you felt the same comparison as well. It's very Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it is. It's obviously, they're kind of taking that moral grayness of a medieval setting, putting it in the future, in a sci-fi setting and everything. And it feels very much like Game of Thrones. It feels very much like, Vikings or Rome, it feels like it's not Star Wars,
No, whereas Star Wars, and Star Wars is, I know, and this is maybe another thing that we can talk about in a different video, just where, like, should Star Wars try to be more gray, or is it kind of stuck in this very black and white?
I'm gonna answer that real quick. The episodes, like, meaning the Skywalker saga,
the film,
probably not. Probably not.
In terms of making them more gray?
Well, I say that, but some of the most interesting arcs.
About this,
yeah,
so
no, okay.
This really deserves its own video.
Maybe.
Okay.
My new quick answer, maybe.
Yeah. I say this. This is something that really deserves its own discussion.
When we talk about Phantom Menace,
I'm up for that.
We'll see. One day.
Yeah.
For Christmas.
Yeah. When was it released?
When?
Was it Christmas? Phantom Menace, or was it?
No,
November?
it was May.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I don't know how I forgot that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just say it's. Yeah, the ending definitely takes away a lot of the interesting thematic stuff from the novel, and it's frustrating. I'd say it's also too. There's something we should also maybe just touch on is I don't even know how these got put into the movie, but the weirding modules.
Oh, the shields?
No, the like sound weapons.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I have no clue how they found their way into the script. That's another thing where like that feels like conventional Hollywood. Like, okay, we need to introduce like some kind of like MacGuffin tinkering.
Yeah,
that feels like studio meddling to me.
No, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was studio meddling, but it definitely feels like studio notes. Like, we need to put something like this in here.
Some sort of like a potential toy. Right?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Yeah, that feels, and it's totally extraneous too. And I totally forgot too, because in terms of the role that they fulfill in the narrative, they're clearly fulfilling the same role that the Family Atomics do in the novel and in Dune Part 2. But then the Atomics just randomly show up in this movie. At which point you're just like, why? Why would you? Then why would you put this in? It's just, it's very frustrating.
It is. It's a frustrating one. One of the most, I think one of the plot points that got the whole audience laughing was when they introduced the romance angle.
Oh God, yeah, that's another thing. That's so underdeveloped.
It's not developed at all. It's just this happens
actually,
now.
Yeah, you're right.
They cut to a shot of kissing.
They literally just cut to Kyle MacLachlan and Sean Young just making out. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And everyone's like, oh, I guess. And you hear the narrator,
Irulan just over the top of the movie says, "Oh yeah, by the way, Paul and Shawnee start fucking."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing now.
Oh, it was really silly. And I'm glad this movie exists.
Yes.
I'm glad that I saw it in the theater, especially to experience it, because moments like with the kissing and when Sting shows up, everyone's applauding and laughing, and there's this one part. I don't remember the line, but it's after Paul and his mom escape from the massacre, and they stop in the desert. And his mind opens up, and he looks to the moon. It's just
Oh,
this
yeah, oh,
awkward,
God, yeah, all the shots
awkward
of the moon.
moment where he just looks. It's like a wide shot of him standing, and he just does this, like, you know how Batman used to move in in those suits where it's his whole upper torso.
Yeah,
he moves like that towards the moon. I can see the moon. His narration and everything, hilarious, and it's sad, you know. But why you gotta fuck with Lynch like this, man?
Yeah.
He didn't want to make a movie like this. He didn't want to make the movie like this.
No. Yeah.
He didn't want to make the movie.
Well, he must have initially wanted to do it. He wanted to do it more than Star Wars.
Well, he didn't read the book. He read the book,
Yeah.
and he was interested. He liked the book and everything.
Sure.
He could see it happening, of course. But, you know, then when all this crap happens, you know, you get a classic, but it's also kind of like an ironic one.
Again,
you know?
it's kind of in the realm of MST3K. So
yeah, one thing I want to bring up before we kind of wrap up a bit, or a couple things I want to bring up. The music in this film,
it's actually genuinely good.
I love it.
I mean, it's Brian Eno and Toto. So
yes,
yeah,
unbelievable.
I actually will listen to the soundtrack just on my own. And I don't do that with a whole lot of films. It's very, because I like video game and film soundtracks, but unless they're like an artist that I really like, whether it's specifically like Trent Reznor or Christopher Drake, I don't tend to revisit stuff a whole lot, but this is one that I will actually listen to.
Yeah, it's
semi-regularly,
and it's listening to it in the theater, seeing the big screen, especially the opening title cards over the sand.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like something like the Ten Commandments. You know,
yeah, it
feels great.
It's appropriately bombastic.
Yeah.
It's genuinely well composed and moving. Yeah, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And I say something we maybe want to also mention. I'd be interested to see what you think of this as well. I have only seen part of it, but there is a fan edit of this
of Dune.
On YouTube that fixes a lot of things.
Oh, like kind of the Phantom edit, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I'd be interested to see what you think of it. This would maybe be something that we could revisit just for like 15 minutes. And another video on its own. I'd be interested to see what you think of it.
I'm curious to watch it. So I'd imagine the main thing they do is shorten it.
No, I think they actually lengthen it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this is that the director's cut wasn't started from this because there is no director's cut of it. Lynch has said that. Yeah. But it's interesting how necessary a director's cut becomes.
Yeah.
And this is one that needed it.
It's but
doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's very much a Blade Runner situation where like for how many years? I mean, obviously Ridley Scott has done. I have the box set, and I think there's like 5 different cuts of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. If Lynch could ever bring himself to revisit this movie, I would be interested. I don't know if I'm sure the original negatives have probably been lost, but yeah, if you could do a director's cut of this, I would love to see this. I think I would benefit from it. And the fan edit gets close to it.
Close to the ideal of what they could do.
What this could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it fixes a lot of problems. It's not perfect, but it's definite improvement.
I mean, Francis Ford Coppola came out with the re-edit of The Godfather Part 3. Recently,
I know people don't like Godfather Part 3. I haven't seen it, but from what I know of it, I don't totally get it. But I also feel like feel like the hate for Spider-Man 3 is undeserved. So I may not be the best judge of this.
It's semi-deserved for Spider-Man 3 because Spider-Man 3 went through a pretty similar situation here, with Dune. But what I'll say about Godfather Part 3 is that Sofia Coppola's performance is a big part of why.
Yeah, I just say you can't fix Sofia Coppola's performance.
And listen, unless you're Game of Thrones or Star Wars, incest is just hard to sell.
That's true. That's true.
So, and especially when it's Italian incest, that's just off, man. Because someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Michael Corleone cut of Godfather 3, to be fair. I've seen the third part, but I haven't seen it again. I've seen Godfather 1 plenty of times, Godfather 2 plenty of times.
I don't think I've made it through Godfather 1.
What?
It's really boring to me. I know that's sacrilege.
That is sacrilege.
Godfather's really fucking boring to me.
Okay, we're gonna go take a ride out now to the countryside.
Julius is gonna dump my body somewhere.
Leave the gun. Take the cannolis.
Yeah, I can't make it through. I feel really bad saying that.
We're gonna watch it, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Okay, I'll be fine with that. I will probably just need some substances to get through it.
That's the music that was playing just now in my head when you said that. It's look what they did to my boy. Oh, that's awful. But yeah, no, I my final thoughts on Dune.
Yeah.
I love a lot about it.
Yeah. There's a lot to love.
I wanted to love all of it.
Yeah. I felt the same way watching it. I definitely, especially because I had seen Dune Part 2 just like maybe a month before. And so it's a very stark contrast.
Yeah.
And I came away feeling like I maybe like it a little bit less, but I still like it a lot. It's
Dune, this film?
Yeah, by comparison,
yeah.
But that's only in relation to the new ones.
Right.
I still, objectively speaking, I still actually quite like it a lot.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way that I did after watching it with you over in the theater. Even today, after watching Dune Part 2 for the first time, which I really liked that film a lot. I was really happy to watch it. It was really good. And I thought they just, I'm glad that they kind of took what worked and what didn't from this. It's very clear that they did that with this film, because this is encapsulating both films pretty much. And they just made something great, so I'm happy to have talked about this, to watch it. And now I got to just watch all of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the other films.
I still haven't even gotten to The Return.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm barely through season 1 of Twin Peaks.
Same.
I feel really bad.
Don't.
I mean, to be fair, like you can kind of skip a good chunk of season 2 because it's at the very least you can skip James.
Don't. I was serenading you. I thought you were singing the Godfather theme, and I was about to slap you.
No. I was doing I'm sure you've seen. There's so many times I post like Twin Peaks memes, or like just use Angelo Badalamenti's score on my Instagram. It's like a regular feature.
It's a fair one. It's fair. All right, guys, we're gonna finish up, and thank you so much, Exley, for coming over and hanging out. I'll have you on another one at some point soon.
Yeah,
hopefully. And we're gonna continue making Golden Hour, guys.
Yes.
So stay tuned on that. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good one. Stay safe, and goodbye.